What is up, everybody? Welcome to the dungeon. I'm about to do your weekly tarot readings for all the zodiac signs, Aries through Pisces. What I'll do is I'll pull one card for the overall energy of the week, and then I'll pull another card for the love energy of the week because, everybody wants to know about love, but not everybody has love in their life, so we like to go over both. All right, so without further ado, let us just hop right into it. Let's see what's going on with my Aries. What is going on with my Arians over the next week? What kind of energy will Aries encounter? What is going on with Aries over the next week? What's up with Aries? Aries, you have the Judgment card. So you are at a very, very important period in your life. It's time to make a choice as to whether or not you are going to continue down the path you are on or move in a different direction. There are some things that need to come to an end, and it's time to make that decision. I think that if you don't willingly make it on your own, life's going to put you in a position where you're forced to make that decision. But either or, however it turns out, be it good or bad, it is going to work out for the best in the long run, even if you don't give a fuck about the long run because you don't like the way it is now. Tough it out. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Aries. What is going on with your love life, Aries? What kind of energy will you encounter there? Aries, you have the Emperor, so you may be extremely focused on your home and your family and, those responsibilities, the more masculine responsibilities. I'm saying I'm saying masculine and not male because it's the energy, it's not the sex organ. So you're just carrying that energy of, you know, um, providing, protecting, supplying. You're making sure that your partner has everything that they need from your relationship, and just really stepping up to the plate for them. Some of you need to be careful because some of you are doing a little too much. You're doing a little too much. Sometimes if you go overboard with those things, well, it can be too much. It can come off clingy, controlling, because that's it. So there's a fine line there. Be sure you don't cross it. Especially when it comes to being controlling. People deserve their freedom because you need to give them the freedom to see what decision that they're going to make. Because it's their choice on how they live their life, and you can't make them do things a certain way. You can try to, but it's not going to work out the way you want it to. Because if you try to make somebody do something one way when really they want to do it another way, they're going to find a way to do the other way. You might do both of them. It'll get to where there is a level of secrecy there, and this could lead or build more distance between you and this person. So let's move on. Yes, I got some dental work done and it's hurting a little bit more than I thought it would to talk, but I am gonna push through it. Okay. Let's see what's going on with my Taurians. Let's see what's going on with Taurus. What kind of energy will Taurus encounter over the next week? What is going on with my Taurians over the next week? Let's see. Taurus, you have the Three of Pentacles. Just in your general energy, you will benefit from working with others, teamwork. It's going to go good. Some of you may not like it. You know, some of you may be the type that prefers to work alone, but you will still benefit from working with other people. Even if you end up being the one, like say if this is like a group project type situation, even if you are the one doing a lot of the work, you are still benefiting from working with other people because there are just certain things that you can't do. There's just certain things that you're not good at that other people are. And, you know, again, you can't do anything. And in order for you to be the most successful here, you need to acknowledge that and let other people put their 2 cents in because you don't know everything. You know a lot, but you don't know everything. And you need to be open to other people, especially if you don't like them. I feel like I gotta say that, like me. So if you're like in a work situation and there is just this one person at work that you just cannot stand, they even open their mouth and you're like, I wish this person would shut up. That person. That person. Okay. Let's see what's going on in your love life. I'm gonna leave it there. Let's see what is going on in your love life, Taurus. What kind of energy will you encounter? What is going on in Taurus's love life? Taurus, you have the Three of Cups here. So, some of you who are very, 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 very lucky may be reuniting with your spouse or reconciling after dealing with a difficult time. And it's perfect timing because you need each other. You're working things out in your partnership. You know, like say if there was an argument or whatever, you guys are kissing and making up. But it's the perfect time because externally, life is getting difficult. It's getting hard, and you guys need each other. You know, not in a codependent way, in a partnership way. Um, you know, like I just described, you are better together, you know, than you are on your own. You can do a lot on your own. You can manage a lot on your own. But there are things that the other person brings to the table that you lack and you don't have, and that you benefit from them bringing into your life. So, you know, it's another one of those things where it's like together you're better together, and then in life you're better together, you know, but in a healthy way, not in a codependent way. I like seeing that. I like seeing that energy. I think it's really beautiful. So many relationships get warped into codependent situations that there are so few healthy partnerships those healthy examples. People have to actively seek out healthy ways to deal with things because people are just now learning healthy ways to deal with things. Anyways, moving on. Let's see what's going on with my Geminis. What is going on with Gemini over the next week? What kind of energy will Gemini encounter over the next week? What's going on with Gemini? Gemini, you have the Fool. You don't know what's happening. You don't really know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. You just don't. Kind of going with the flow, either by choice or force. And what I mean by force is like life has put you in a situation where you're helpless. There's nothing you can do but just kind of go with the flow. Some of you may be considering or deciding to take a risk, a leap of faith. You could potentially fall on your face. This could potentially lead to something that could, really blow up. But it could also succeed. It could also find a great amount of success, but you would never know unless you take the risk. So some of you are actually choosing to take the risk. Others of you are flirting with it. Like, I can't think of or the name of that one song comes to mind, Flirting with Disaster. I always like that line, Flirting with Disaster. It's a good line. But so that's kind of is, you're considering it, but this could potentially lead to disaster. But you know what, you're considering it because it could lead to a lot of fun too. It could lead to a lot of good times. Let's see what is going on in your love life. It's just a matter of asking yourself whether this is worth the risk. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Gemini. I don't know, I may have to cut this short. This stuff keeps bothering me. Okay, we have the Page of Swords. So you are observing, you're watching, some of you are stalking, creeping, maybe your partner is being distant, so you're just trying to figure out what's going on. You're observing because you're trying to figure out what's going on. They're not telling you. Some of you may be considering having a conversation because you guys have been distant and it's really getting to you. Especially if there were some things that, like, y'all didn't leave off on good terms. It's really starting to get to you, and you're considering, putting yourself out there and taking that risk and getting the conversation going, to try to come to some sort of resolution here. If you're single, you're kind of just seeing what's out there, maybe talking to a few people, but you're not going too in depth with it. So moving on to Cancer. Let's see what's going on with Cancer. What's going on with Cancer over the next week? What kind of energy will Cancer encounter? for the next week. What's going on with Cancer? What kind of energy will Cancer encounter over the next week? Cancer, you have these Six of Cups here, so you're feeling very, very nostalgic, getting caught up in your memories. Like you may be so caught up in your memories that you're kind of living there, like you're living in reality, but inside your mind you're somewhere else. And it's like you'll have breaks from this, whatever the space you're in inside your mind, when you have to like deal with reality, when you have to deal with like the necessary things that of everyday life. Oh, you gotta get up and go do the dishes. Well, reminding yourself you gotta get up and go do the dishes breaks you away from that thought. But then you start doing the dishes and then you fall back into it again. Stuff like that. Um, there'll be moments of distraction, but then you just fall right back into it. Um, I was gonna say this could be good or bad depending on your situation, but I don't know like how this could necessarily be a good thing, um, or be spun in a positive way, other than using it as inspiration. If you are creative in some sort of way, um, just kind of using it as a muse or inspiration to like express yourself, or express this maybe in ways that you can't directly express it. So kind of use this energy because you're stuck in it. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to try to transmute it. There may be some things going on in present times that are reminiscent of the past. So it's very important to make sure you're not repeating the same mistakes. But in order to do that, you have to take a good look at your past. So the question is, have you, or are you running from it? See what's going on in your love life, Cancer. Let's see what's up. What's going on in Cancer's love life? Cancer, you have the Hermit. So you may be holed up. Some of you may literally be in your room, laying in bed, laying in the dark, maybe listening to the music. Maybe it's not completely dark. Maybe you have some sort of cool lighting going on, but just kind of get a vibe. There's a vibe going on, and the vibe includes you being alone. So, even if you are in a relationship, that's where you are. Even if you are in a relationship and you're actually living with the person, you're still in the state of being alone, feeling alone, very, very distant from your partner. Um, there could be some things that have happened in the past that have caused issues, or they're issues, that have not been resolved. And these things may be coming up. It may be something that you are dwelling on, and perhaps it's something that was quote unquote worked through in the past, and so it's not necessarily something you're bringing up. But even though it was quote unquote worked through in the past, it wasn't really. Like, it may have been talked through and whatnot, but the way it made you feel is still there, and you still feel that way. And so that's something that you may be battling and struggling with, especially if your partner is being extremely reassuring, and really, um, Like, say if if they did something bad before, they're really doing the opposite. Like, they really are stepping up. It's like, say if you're in the beginning stages of meeting somebody and you're seeing them, and then you find out that they're also dating somebody else, and then you get pissed off about them dating somebody else, and it turns into drama, But then it gets to the point where they stop dating that person. They date exclusively you, and they give you all their time and care and attention. And it's like, they're really giving it to you, you know. Um, but you're not seeing it because you're so caught up in what happened at the beginning that you are not seeing where things are now. And so you may be having a hard time with that. And you may even be aware of that. That could also be why you're kind of keeping to yourself. Um, if you're single, yeah, you're in your personal space, keeping to yourself, and you are thinking a lot about them, about who you ask, about them. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. You keep thinking about them, and you keep daydreaming of them, and you keep feeling like you're with them, and it's kind of making you feel crazy, but you can't get away from it, and so that's why you're hiding away. That's the only way you can get away from it, is by hiding away and not being faced with not being able to quit thinking about it. What I mean by that is like dealing with reality while this is still always on your head, always on your mind constantly. Everything is on your mind, and then you have to deal with all the little things. And instead of facing the difficulty of like the reality that it's so hard for this to get out of your mind, you just rather just deal with it. I don't know if that makes sense. If you'd rather just deal with it, like face it head on, then try to go through life acting like this is not inside your mind, acting like this is not bothering you. You're like, I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you know that if you want to have a happy, healthy relationship in the future, which you do, you have to let these things go. You have to move beyond them. Okay. All right. On that note, let's move on to my Leo. Let's see what is going on with Leo. What is going on with my Leos over the next week? What kind of energy will Leo encounter? What's going on with Leo? Leo, we have the Two of Swords. So there's something you're not telling, there's something you're not talking about, there's something you're avoiding. Perhaps there is a conflict of some sort, and you don't know how to resolve it. You don't know how to bring it back together. You don't even know how to initiate the conversation in regards to this. So to a certain extent, you're avoiding it. And the only reason I say to a certain extent is because you know you have to deal with it. That's the way you're acknowledging it, that you know you have to deal with it. Otherwise, you're avoiding it. Because you just don't really know how to deal with it. Some of you are going to be forced to. Some of you, very unfortunate ones, will be put in a situation where you're going to have to figure out how to make it, how to bring it back together. You poor unfortunate soul. Okay, that sounded extremely malicious. It doesn't have to be like super, negative or whatever. I'm just being dramatic. Don't listen to me. Okay, let's see what's going on in your love life. Don't listen to me. Let me just tell you what's going on in your love life. Let's see what the energy is, you guys. I'm not telling you what's going on. Okay, I'm telling you what the energy is. No, it is. It really is. I do read energy. I don't claim to predict the future. Okay, love energy. We have the Ace of Cups. So you are feeling extremely loving right now, very overwhelmed. Your cup overfloweth. So, well, let's just say this actually, any feeling you have in regards to your love life is deep and intense. That goes with both positive and the negative emotions. You have the just the level, the depth. Ooh, it's overwhelming. And this may be why it could be a little bit hard for you to see how to, bring things together because you're so caught up in your emotions and like passionate about how you feel. It's hard for you to find that compromise. However, like in regards to your love life, there are going to be certain of you where it's like you love each other enough. Like, no, I feel like I shouldn't say that because that could give somebody, oh, I'm not good enough for them to, work things out with me. No, it's not necessarily that. You are both on the same level. Let me rephrase this. You're both on the same level where you're both willing to put in the same amount of work to make things work. You're both willing to work. You're both willing to get your hands dirty because you love each other that much. You know, so it's not necessarily a whether or not you're worth it thing. It's a truly a meeting of the minds and truly a commitment thing. So for those of you who are on that level, you may have a little bit of difficulty coming to some sort of resolution in regards to this, but at the end of the day, you're both determined to get there. You're not going to stay mad forever. You're going to work through this. Um, some of you who are single, though, you may be feeling like you're going to stay mad forever. Oh, God. If you, or maybe not even mad, maybe even just sad, like the way you feel, the loss you feel, the love, the depth of love you have for this person. Like, it could just be so overwhelming that, like, really there's nothing you can do about it. So you're just sitting there struggling with dealing with these emotions, and the only thing I can freaking tell you is that you kind of have to deal with them. They're there. you know um, the best thing that you can do is try to find a way to, again, transmute this energy. Let it be a muse of some sort. Let it inspire you in some way to do something. Um, Shift that energy, shift the pain, shift the heartache, because you could end up creating something extremely freaking beautiful. And if you are in a career where you create, you may find that you create something extremely successful from this. So, like, yeah, it may suck. This could cause a lot of heartache and be excruciating to go through, and you just wish it was over and that you didn't feel this way anymore. But you know what? I think in the long run, you will be able to profit from your pain. And that's better than other people profiting from it, right? Okay. Yes, yes, honey, yes. Hello, Juanita. Welcome. Thanks for showing up. Okay, my boy goes. Let's see what's going on with you guys. What is going on with Virgo over the next week? What kind of energy will Virgo encounter? What's going on with Virgo over the next energy Virgo, you have the Eight of Cups here. So you are finding yourself in a situation where you need to walk away. If you have not already done this or are already not in the process of doing this, you feel compelled to. Um, but although you feel compelled to, you don't really want to. Or you actually, in other situations, you may be in a situation where you feel compelled to stay, but where you really want to go. So it could be either way. Because you're like, you really care a lot about this person, you really want this to work, but it's like sometimes that's not enough. Um, it, it's interesting. I was just reading that, like, in terms of a relationship, but and it's very true. But it's also true in terms of people in your life in general. Like, say if you're a friend or a family member, it's like no matter how much you love them, sometimes you still gotta let it go. Sometimes you still gotta walk away, and it can be just as hurtful as losing, you know, a relationship, a partner. It can be just as hard for you, um, because of the connection you have with this person, because the memories you have together, because you don't want to believe that this is the way things are and the way things have to be. But this could be something that you are struggling with right now. Like, yeah, I think I do need to leave this situation because it's not beneficial to you and it's not beneficial to the other people involved either. So it's not even a situation where um, you're unhappy and the other person is happy. They're like blissfully ignorant. It's not even a situation like that. You're both making each other unhappy, not intentional. But that's the thing. It's like you're not trying to make each other unhappy. It just keeps happening, and it's just kind of like you may be coming to the realization that this is just one of those situations where you're never going to get on the same page. Um, and that's just it. There's no talking it out because you're never getting on the same page. So like you could talk about it until you're blue in the face, but there's still never going to be that understanding. Um, and I feel like you may need that. I feel like in some way you may need that understanding. You need that acknowledgement. So it's like if you don't get it, you're removing yourself. So like also like say if you have a job, you're not getting the recognition you deserve for all the hard work you've been putting in, you're walking away. You don't want to, it's risky because this is your job, and it's not like there's money falling out of the sky or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like you are putting in so much and getting so little. You're sacrificing so much of your life and not hardly having any experience of it. So it's kind of like there's got to be a better way. That's the way you're feeling. There's got to be a better way. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Virgo. Yeah, let's see what's going on there. Let's see what's going on in Virgo's love life over the next week. With Virgo, you have the devil energy here. So, this is coming in hot in a few different ways. Um, the devil is coming in hot here with a lot of toxicity, a lot of drama, a lot of chaos, manipulation. Um, you know, these are things that you've been dealing with. If you have not been hit with them all at once, you've been hit with one or multiple, either way, all of these things have been experienced inside this relationship. And the thing is the love and the connection and the passion here is so deep and so intense. It's hard to break away. Like you feel tied to this person. You feel tied. You feel like this person is your soulmate, and you may feel like you're never gonna have this connection with anybody again. And this could put you in a position where um, toxic behavior is tolerated. So you're in a position, some of you are in a position in a relationship where it's just gotten so horrible and so toxic that it's just like there's just no way that this, I don't want to say no way, it's just, it's very difficult to come back from this place. um, Very, very difficult, because I don't know, some things just can't be undone. You know, some things just can't be undone. um, you are not as stuck as you feel. There is something about the situation that you're not seeing. If you are in an abusive situation, and you are thinking of leaving, you're planning on leaving, one of the first things I will tell you is to tell the people um, that are close to you, even if you haven't talked to them in a while because you've been in a situation where you've been isolated or whatever. It doesn't matter. I promise you they're going to be happy to hear from you. Just let them know what's going on in case if something happens. Because, like, the most dangerous period in an abusive relationship is when a person tries to leave. It's like, try not to get emotional here. That's the most dangerous period. So be sure that people know what's going on. They know that you're trying to get out of this situation. Um, whew, a little heavy there. Okay, let's take it back, because it's not all that intense, you guys. It's not all that intense. The intensity is there. Let me let me just say that the intensity is there, but it's not to that extent of like abusive, toxic, borderline. I'm not even gonna say that word, behavior. This could just be a situation where you just cannot stop thinking about this person. You are infatuated, basically. It's an infatuation. You may feel like you're in love right now, but right now it is an infatuation. Um, you're in lust, is what it is. You're in lust right now. I think some of you are on the rebound too. I think some of you are just trying to hook up. You're walking away from a situation. Um, I think you may still have some feelings about that, so you're not trying to get your feelings involved in a new situation. You're just trying to have fun. Be careful with that, because the devil energy could also lead to overindulgence. So wrap it up before you take it. Or give it, whichever. All right, I'm gonna move on because I feel like I've been hanging out here too long. All right, let's see what is going on with my Libras. What's going on with Libra? What kind of energy will Libra encounter over the next week? What is going on with Libra? What kind of energy will Libra encounter over? Libra, you have the wheel. So things are changing, and they're changing in a big way. This could be, an external circumstance that leads to big changes, but it also could be an internal change of mind. Either way, there are big changes coming. There are things brewing. You may be having a lot going on, well, internally that people don't know about. You're making plans and you're keeping them to yourself, because, again, it's going to take your life in a different direction, and you may not want anybody to put their 2 cents in, because you know that they don't have the whole story. See, like, even if this is something that you have discussed many times with other people, they don't know the whole story. So, like, say some sort of issue you've been having for years with somebody, and you've got to make a decision in regards to whatever you have dynamic going on with that person. And perhaps whatever that dynamic was, you have discussed with other people multiple times, just at, like, venting and whatnot. And so you may be at a point where it's like you have to do something or make a decision in regards to this situation that you have complained about for a while. And again, typically you would talk to people about it, but you're not in this situation. You're not, because other people don't know the entire situation. You know that you didn't say everything. You know that you didn't tell people everything, and so you're not telling them everything now either. It's none of their business, really. At the end of the day, you were venting. So it is what it is. If they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, it doesn't really matter, because this is your life, and at the end of the day, you have to live with your life. You have to live with the decisions you made in your life, and whether or not you are happy with those. So that includes the decisions you make based upon what other people say and think. And you need to be very careful with that, because sometimes worrying too much about what people have to say and think gets in the way of something awesome. Awesome. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Libra. Speaking of that, let's see what's going on in Libra's love life over the next week. Libra, you have the Four of Swords. So you're kind of keeping yourself, you're working on your healing. Even if you are in a relationship with somebody, you still may be kind of keeping to yourself. You still may be working on your healing. We don't all go into relationships with clean slates. Sometimes we have baggage oftentimes we have baggage not only from previous relationships, romantic relationships, but also the relationships we've had in general. So you may actually be trying to, like, take some time out to get some distance, to kind of work on those things a little more, to kind of understand things and heal from these things more, so that you are a better partner in the future to either the person you're already with or whomever you may be with in the future. I know right now you are making big changes. You're making them externally, but also internally. And this is part of that process, because I think you're also going to be analyzing the relationship that you are in and trying to figure out if this is in alignment with where you want your life to go, where you want your life to be. Sometimes we get in a relationship, we think we want our life a certain way, and then we realize that we're just living the way life, like society taught us, i.e., meet somebody, fall in love, get married, have kids, move in a house, have a job, that's a career, you do that until you die, and you may be sitting there asking yourself, like, okay, is this the type of life I want with my partner, because there's nothing wrong with that life, but there are different ways you can live that life. And so you may be sitting there asking yourself, okay, am I living it the way I want to? And not only that, do we want the same thing? Like, do we really want the same experience from life? So you may be thinking about that. Um, and as a result, there could be some major changes happening in regards to your love life as well. Some that may actually catch some people off guard. Um, so I don't know. Some people may suddenly be separating. Let's just say that. So I'll leave it there. Okay, moving on to Scorpio. What is going on with Scorpio over the next week? What kind of energy will Scorpio encounter over the next week? What's going on with Scorpio? Okay, we have the Six of Swords, Scorpio. Some of you may be going on a trip, maybe going on a little road trip, a little drive, a little travel. Okay, you guys get the point. But it's not necessarily literal. This could be just moving on to a new phase of your life. You've been through a lot, you were going through a lot, you learned a lot. It's time to move on from this period. It's kind of like, we all go through phases in our life, epochs, if you will. And you're at the end of this one. You're seeing it. There's no more room for this moving forward. Um, and the only thing there is room for is what you have learned from the experience. And so you're trying to take those lessons with you moving forward. But at this point, it's time to move on from where you are. This situation is no longer serving you. You're ready to enter a new phase in your life. Let's see what's going on in your love life. What's going on in Scorpio's love life over the next? What's going on in Scorpio's love life? Scorpio, you have the High Priestess. So you're kind of keeping yourself. If you're in a relationship, you're not really a very talkative. You're not going to be very talkative. You're feeling more introspective at this point. Um, you feel again like you're wrapping up a certain period of your life, and not only have you been thinking about those experiences that you went through, just in general, but you're also thinking about how this affects your love life, how it affected your love life, how it affects your love life and your perception of it. And, kind of doing a review, kind of similar to Libra. You're kind of like taking stock. Is this like the type of relationship I want to be in? Is this the type of life I want long term? If you are not already in a relationship where you're doing this, you're doing it, period, trying to figure out, okay, what do I want from life? What, like, do I want to get married? If I want to get married, or if I want to be in a long-term relationship, what do I want that to look like? Again, people just go to cliche, like fall in love, get married, move in a house, have kids, retire, die, like, and that's it. No, there's so much more to life. There's so many. Like, the world is so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger. It's so many people never leave their hometown, and it's like, okay, yes, there's a certain level of beauty there of, having that home, but also there's so much that you're not experiencing, that you're not seeing, that you don't even know is out there because you haven't been outside of your perimeter. And I don't know, some of you maybe getting the itch to get out of your hometown. Let's just say that, either literally or metaphorically. You're ready to get out of the situation you've always been in. You have always been in the same situation. You have felt like this is the way it would always be. But something has happened that has led you to believe that that's not true. It has led you to believe that things can be different, and that it's possible that things can be the way you want them to be. But are you even sure how you want them to be? Like, you gotta figure that out. So you're pulling back. You're pulling back. If you're in a relationship, you're pulling back. If you've been talking to people, you're not really talking to them so much. Again, you're pulling back. You're doing there's a lot of introspection going on. All right. Let's see what is going on with my Sagittarians. What's going on with Sagittarius over the next week? Kind of energy with Sagittarius encounter. Sagittarius, you have the Six of Cups, so you're going to be feeling very nostalgic, delving into a lot of memories, daydreaming a lot. Um, you know, there may be things that kind of come up from your past that you really enjoy. Like, maybe they're showing movies on TV that are like from your generation. Like, I know recently they were showing a lot of my generation's teen chick flicks, and I kind of went on a binge of that for. It wasn't a whole day. It was, I watched one of those at, like, I'm not a big, like, actually focusing on TV, watching things long term. So maybe glancing at them a couple of times over the week. Either way, more than usual. So that's the whole nostalgia thing. Come back, because it makes me think simpler times when things were just, like, not complicated. Like, how freaking simple. How simple. How much more simple can things get than a teen rom-com? Okay. All right, so Sagittarius, you're gonna get caught. My mom's a Sag, so with my mom, this would be Grease. She would be going crazy with Grease. She loves Grease. So just, you're caught up listening to the music from back in the day. You're just kind of you're embracing the vibes. Embracing the vibes. Some of you may be embracing the vibes a little too hard, and maybe going a little too hard, but you know what? Whatever, do you. If it makes you happy, do you. Express yourself. If your kids get embarrassed, remind them it's your job to embarrass them. That's what I do with my kids. Mom, stop, you're embarrassing me. You know what? It's part of my job. Part of my job is to embarrass you, get on your nerves. Okay. All that stuff. All that good stuff. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Love life. Let's see what's going on in Sagittarius' love life. What is going on in Sagittarius' love life? we have the Two of Swords. So some of you may be avoiding some people, somebody else. Maybe, some issues from the past have been coming up. You don't really know how to deal with, you don't really know how to work through. They keep coming up in conversation. The conversation keeps going nowhere because you don't know how to deal with them. You don't know how to work through it. So it just keeps going around in a circle. It comes up, you talk about it, it goes nowhere, you avoid it, repeat. So kind of difficult, and since that's been going on, you may be completely avoiding this person altogether, whether you live together or not. And honestly, some things just can't be dealt with right away. Sometimes it takes a while to really have a good understanding all the way around of a conflict. And if you push too hard to resolve it right away, you could create even more conflict. So, but it's hard to kind of be able to discern when to keep trying or keep fighting, um, and when to step back and come back later and have this discussion. So that can be very difficult. Some of you may be avoiding dating altogether because just you haven't had the best history in your love life. Like maybe you've just been hurt a lot and you're not really inclined to do any of that right now. I'm not even inclined to try to hook up with anybody right now because it still has its drama that it comes with. Excuse me. And it's more than what you want to have to deal with. Like, yeah, you would love to get some, but the whole process that you have to go through to get to that point, you don't feel like doing it. So you just kind of like, again, avoiding your love life in general. If anything, you're just focusing on working through these issues from the past. I mean, you got to, because they affect everything. Everything in your life is affected by your issues from the past. I'm telling you, in some way, shape, or form, whether you can see it or not, it's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. So if you are committed to bettering yourself and working through your issues, I mean, by default, you are doing these things in your love life as well. Granted, they will need to continue to be done on a separate level with that. But as you learn to repair the way you communicate with people, etc., and do it in a healthy way, those are things you're going to be able to apply to a relationship. Stuff like that. Okay, let's move on to Capricorn. Let's see what's going on with Capricorn. I got a little talky with somebody. See what's going on with Capricorn over the next week. What kind of energy will Capricorn encounter? Capricorn, you have justice. So important decisions to make, or to receive. Some of you may be waiting for somebody else to make a decision. Maybe a ruling on a court case or whatever. Either way, important decision will be made this week. It's very important not to find an equal balance between both heart and mind. You don't want to be too matter of fact and be cold. You don't want to be too emotional and unable to be reasonable as a result. You have to find a good balance. Even like say if you're not the one making the decision, even if you are receiving the decision, your reaction to it. You should strive for it to be balanced. You know, if things don't work out, okay, well, let's be reasonable about it. You know, if things do work out, okay, let's actually celebrate that a little bit. You know, let's not be too like, okay, it's over, moving on. No, let's be happy about it. You know, um, finding a balance is going to be very, very important for you this week. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Capricorn. What's going on in Capricorn's love life over the next week? Capricorn, you have the Knight of Pentacles. If you have begun, if you have recently started speaking to somebody or whatever, like the conversation may either taper off or suddenly stop. Um, you know, whatever progress you thought you were making in regards to getting to know somebody, dating, etc., it's going to come to a halt. Sorry. Um, but those of you who are in like a long-term committed relationship, basically you guys are just going strong and steady. Nothing bad. Nothing bad. It just is strong and steady, you know. It hasn't been easy, but you're getting through it, you know. And I mean, that's it. That's pretty freaking direct. Moving on to Aquarius. There's really not many other ways that can be interpreted. Okay. Let's see what's going on with Aquarius. What is going on with Aquarius over the next week? What kind of energy will Aquarius encounter? Aquarius, you have the Three of Wands. So you may be waiting to receive some notification, waiting on call, message, etc., etc. Anxiously, you're trying to be patient, but you're very anxious. Um, Perhaps you feel like there's not a lot you can do moving forward until you receive this information or whatever. And you don't really like feeling stuck. And that's how you feel right now. You feel stuck, you feel like you can't really do anything, and that you don't have control. You don't like that, but it is what it is. So you're trying to go with the flow. I mean, you're trying. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's going on in your love life, Aquarius. Yeah, let's see what's going on there. What's going on in Aquarius's love life over the next week? Aquarius, you have the Ten of Cups. So some of you may be getting married, maybe getting engaged, committed, you know. You know what you want. You have finally decided what it is that you want, and you are proposing what you want to whomever you have been seeing. and eagerly awaiting their response for sure. Um, some of you may be in that in between period where you've made the decision, you just haven't like expressed it yet. You're dealing with a lot of anxiety, and you try to take some deep breaths and stuff because you're making me ill. I got that nervous stomach, that nervous belly. So you're going to make yourself sick if you're not careful. So be careful. You don't make yourself sick with your nerves. Um, you might be getting a little insecure that you're not going to get what it is that you want. You have that sliver of doubt. Even if you've been with somebody for years, you kind of still have that sliver of doubt. Like, what if they say no? You know, there's that little bit of insecurity. And until you face it, until you grit your teeth and deal with things, you won't know. It's time to find out. Because whether or not things work out, it'll work out. Like, even if it doesn't work out and you're miserable and heartbroken, you need to go through this so you can make space for a situation that may actually work, even if it's a decade from now and you're miserable between now and then. Like, cursing the stars. You'll find out eventually. Alright. What is going on with Pisces? What is going on with Pisces over the next week? What kind of energy will Pisces encounter over the next week? Pisces, you have the Ten of Swords. So you are going to be dealing with a lot of stress, heartache, anxiety. Some of you may be sick. Some of you may be dealing with loved ones who are sick. It's just a very, very hard time. Some of you will be lucky enough to find that there is a difficult or an ending coming coming to a very difficult time in your life. But unfortunately, that's just going to be a few of you guys. Unfortunately, this is just going to be a rough period, a rough patch. It's okay, just because it's a rough patch this week doesn't mean it's going to stay this way forever. It's just the way the energy is landing for you right now. And you know what? I think that this may be a situation where you're kind of being forced to a timeout and kind of forced to take. It makes me think about my kid was younger and needed a nap, but wasn't sleepy, quote unquote. I'm not sleepy, and I'm not sleepy. I had to make him take a nap. I had to make my kid take a nap. And so that's basically what's going on. It's like life's making you take a break. It's making you rest, even if it's like making you sick. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like if you are sick and you are being in the hospital and not able to do anything for days, you probably need to rest. Obviously, you need to not do anything for days or you wouldn't be stuck in there. But you would know that had this not happened. You would have kept pushing, you know? Although there's some of you who are stubborn. Shouldn't let me keep pushing. Alright, let's see what's going on in your love life, Pisces. What is going on in Pisces love life over the next week? Pisces over the next week. Pisces, you have the Five of Pentacles here, so You may be feeling rejected. Some of you um, are in unfortunate situations where you have been kicked out of the house. Maybe you are having to make the difficult decision to leave on your own. Either way, it's a very rough time in your love life. Even if you are with somebody, you definitely don't feel their affection. You don't feel secure in the relationship. You feel rejected. You feel like they don't care about you. And this thought process is just fueled by you already feeling shitty. So it's like you already feel shitty, so you're more vulnerable to these feelings of insecurity. And these could also be just kind of causing problems. These feelings alone could be causing issues in the relationship, um, because you don't know how to express it, and it comes out all wrong and messed up and blows up in your face and in their face. So it's just very frustrating right now, and you don't really know how to handle it. And really, the best thing you can do for yourself is to give yourself some TLC, self care. Take that time to yourself. You may not want it, but you need it. I know there are a lot of people out there, they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be alone with their thoughts. Sometimes you need to be, okay? And I think this may be one of those times for you, Pisces. Um, all that being said, oof, goodness, those are the readings for the week. I hope they resonate for accuracy purposes, not because I want anybody feeling like poopy. And hopefully I'll see you guys again next week. We'll see what's going on. TBC.